Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into The Peacock School by Vrijesh Singh. On the surface, yeah, it's this quirky little fable about birds, but when you really look at it, it's actually an incredible mirror reflecting how we teach, how we learn, and honestly, what happens when we try to institutionalize pure, organic life experiences. If you've ever found yourself wondering about the direction modern schooling is heading, you are absolutely going to love this perspective. All right, let's jump right into section 1, A Story of a Thought. The author starts by recounting this quiet, almost nostalgic day in a dusty Rajasthan village. Dark clouds are gathering up above, but the usual familiar sound of peacocks is just missing. I want you to imagine that scene for a second. Unpaved roads, simple mud houses, and these vast open fields just stretching out to the horizon. Dark, heavy monsoon clouds are rolling in. But the air? It's completely silent. And it's that specific, eerie silence that plants this lingering thought in the author's head. Looking up at those silent clouds, he's reminded of a classic old proverb. A peacock danced in the jungle. Who saw it? Who saw it? Let that pause sit with you for a moment. It perfectly sets up this fable-like mood for our explainer. It brings up this whole idea of nature just existing, completely unseen and unmeasured by anyone.
Moving on to section 2, A Future Imagination. You know how in the wild, when dark clouds gather and lightning strikes, peacocks don't check a syllabus, right? Pure instinct triggers this joyous dance and their signature pew-pew calls. It's just this innate, beautiful response to the rain.
But here's where the story takes a really fascinating turn. The author poses a wild hypothetical. What if this changes in 30 or 40 years? Imagine a world where young peacocks are entirely stripped of this natural art. A world where they just don't feel that spontaneous joy anymore when the clouds roll in. What if, to react to the rain, these young peacocks literally have to be formally taught? Which brings us to section 3, The Peacock School. Things get a little bureaucratic and honestly pretty funny here. Imagine this tiny, formal school plopped right down in the middle of the jungle, with baby peacocks sitting at desks in rigid little rows. Standing up at the front is this very serious, authoritative teacher, Peacock, and you've got to see the sheer absurdity of the blackboard equation here. He taps his pointer and instructs them, all right, class, clouds plus lightning equals dancing and the pew-pew sound. This is our natural behavior. I mean, just let that sink in. He is literally dictating a mathematical formula for joy. He's turning a totally organic emotional response into a strict academic requirement. It's such a brilliant way to show how absurd formalization can get. The teacher breaks the joy of the monsoon down into 4 standardized steps. Step 1, observe dark clouds. Step 2, listen for lightning. Step 3, emit pew-pew vocalization. Step 4, initiate dancing. He even gives a demonstration and makes the class repeat after him. Pew, pew, and they echo it back, but it's this messy off-key chorus. The teacher abruptly halts the whole lesson. Stop, stop, he scolds them. That sound you just made is the hunting sound. That is not the rain sound. He's actually correcting their spontaneous noises because they didn't match the textbook definition of a rain call. So here is the real crux of it. Natural instinct versus a taught curriculum. On one side, we have the organic, joyful, unprompted experience of actually feeling the rain. On the other side, we've got students sitting in rows, passively repeating a forced curriculum after a teacher. The author is drawing this really sharp line to show how artificial memorization has basically replaced authentic, lived experience. The peacocks aren't feeling the rain. They're just passing a test on it. The story hits its comedic peak when the school bell finally rings. The baby peacocks are let out, and it's a bright, sunny day, literally not a single cloud in the sky. Yet this one baby peacock, super eager to do his homework, starts forcefully practicing his rain dance, and his pew-pew sounds right there in the glaring sun. The older peacock sitting nearby just burst out laughing. One elder, walking by slowly, shakes his head. In our time, peacocks mastered this naturally. Nowadays, even peacocks have started a new fashion of going to school to learn all this. It's hilarious, sure, but it is an incredibly pointed critique. Okay, section 4, The Real Question on Education. This is where we drop the comedy. The tone shifts entirely, and that jungle fades away into a real classroom with real human children. Because, spoiler alert, this story isn't actually about peacocks at all. Vrijesh Singh is using this fable to hold up a giant metaphorical mirror to our modern education system, asking us, are we teaching things children used to learn themselves? It forces us to confront a really uncomfortable possibility. Are we over-institutionalizing our kids?
In our rush to create all these standardized curricula, are we taking natural instincts like curiosity, play, and emotional resilience and breaking them down into rigid blackboard equations? It brings us to a massive philosophical reflection. Is school replacing what life itself used to teach? For educators, parents, and really anyone invested in learning, this is the ultimate question. Think about social skills, conflict resolution, or just the simple joy of discovering how a puddle splashes. Generations ago, those things were learned organically through unstructured play, just roaming the neighborhood and interacting with the world. Today, we've got structured playdates, emotional intelligence worksheets, and formal classes for things that used to just be the domain of everyday life. So we're left facing the author's core dilemma. If school is indeed replacing life experiences, is that actually a good thing? Are we losing something really fundamental? You could argue that formalizing these things means no child falls behind, that everyone gets a baseline. But the author is challenging us to look at the real cost here. When we formalize every single aspect of child development, do we strip away the spontaneous joy? Do we end up with children who, just like that baby peacock, know the exact mechanics of the rain dance, but have completely lost the ability to actually feel the rain?
Which leaves us with this final provocative thought to wrap up our explainer today. Should some things be left untaught? I really want you to think about that. Should some aspects of growing up just be allowed to happen beautifully and organically without a syllabus? Are schools strictly necessary for absolutely everything, or do we need to make a little room for the jungle again? Thank you so much for joining me to explore this fascinating perspective. I hope this leaves you with plenty to reflect on when it comes to the true nature of learning.